Tonight, I wanted to talk to the National Police Service Commission. The National Service Police Commission has commissioners, and there are three commissioners, special commissioners. There is the Inspector General and his two deputies. The Director of CID is only attends the commission meetings by invitation. He is not a commissioner by automatically. But I want to address to the National Police Service Commission, and by extension, Madam Attorney General. They say that justice delayed is justice denied. In our national anthem, the English version goes like this: Justice be our shield and defender. Justice be our shield and defender. It shields us from wrong things, and it defends us against wrong things. The Swahili version of those few words is haki iwe ngao na mlinzi. Haki, justice, iwe, it should be. Haki iwe ngao, shield, shield is ngao, na mlinzi, and defender or guard. Let us discover injustice done, and let us correct the injustice immediately we notice it. From where I'm seated, I can tell you there is no need. It is even more painful for you to realize and accept that injustice has been done to somebody. And then you just sit that way, as if nothing is happening. It is very good that immediately injustice has been noticed, then we take the quickest human possible action to correct the injustice. Sincerely, I'm sorry to say it, but at times I tell myself it is even better for you to pass a judgment that so and so is guilty. Do you know that it is very painful for you to accept that a certain police officer has been wronged and just sit that way and things go on? If issues are wrong, if today I committed a crime, what happens? Next I'm in court, next I'm in jail, isn't it? Now, if something wrong has been done, we should correct it in the fastest, quickest way. Why should somebody stay and even die waiting for justice? And then this justice, you can correct it. You won't be pained or anything or whatever. I have 3 cases. I will start with case number 2, then go to case number 3, and finish off with number 1. Case number 2. This is the case where police officers were sacked for allegedly supporting Kibaki. When Kibaki took over, within 3 months they were reinstated. I want I have followed the case. I followed the case with the Kenya National Human Rights Commission, with all the TJRC and everything, and I came up to discover what happened. What happened was this. During the campaign, 2002 campaign, during the 2002 campaign, some police officers were watching TV in a police canteen. One was a sergeant. He was seated in the middle, surrounded by two constables. The sergeant had less education. Of course, sometimes back you could find sergeants were almost illiterate. Then one of the constables turned to the sergeant and said, Major, hii serikali inakuja saa hii ni ya watu wamesoma. Usishangae kuona mimi kwa vile nimesoma kukushinda nitakuwa mkubwa wako na utakuwa mdogo wangu. The sergeant got annoyed. He looked the other side, saw the other constable. He turned to the other constable and told him, umesikia vile mwenzako amesema. But you see, the scenario here is one, this is a constable. These are two constables and these are sergeants. They have the same rank, maybe even of the same age. And another thing, they could also be of the same education. And another thing is that Kenyans don't like giving evidence. They don't want to be involved in the cases. So it is like this other constable wanted to tell the sergeant, you deal your case with the other person without involving me. But the sergeant was annoyed. So he went and reported the issues to the superiors. And then that was the time when Kibaki was campaigning against Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Then what happened was this. When the sergeant went and reported to his superiors, these two constables were sacked immediately. They were sacked, they were taken to disciplinary proceeding and were sacked on the spot under section number 41, prejudice of good conduct and discipline. I want to tell everybody listening to me that section 41 was done away with, because as I speak to you, they tried to look for any offense that they could find on me, they couldn't find. So that section 41 was placed there strategically because it could prove anything. It could prove anything if they wanted. So if they charged you with A, ukahepa, B, ukahepa, C, ukahepa, and they had decided to sack you, they placed there section 41. Offense number 41, not section 1. Offense number 41. Prejudice of good conduct and discipline. It was later agreed that that section is bad and that is why it was removed. So these people were sacked and the information reached the newspapers. So when NAC was campaigning out in the field, when NAC was out there campaigning left, right, and center, it is Madam Charity Maluki Ngilu who stood up in one thing and said, once Kibaki is sworn in, then those two police officers are going to be reinstated. And the press covered that. And then she went on to say that those two police officers should be looked for and immediately start offering security for NAC for that period until elections were there. So elections were held, and Kibaki won and Kibaki was sworn, and they were reinstated immediately. That is good. Justice was done. Now, I want to go to scenario number 3 before I go to scenario number 1. Scenario number 3, here was a a vehicle, police vehicle. It goes and gets into an ambush somewhere in those operation area. It got into an ambush. There was an exchange of fire. Al-Shabaab and police officers shot at each other. When they shot at each other, all police officers except one, a Turkana by tribe, were killed. This Turkana by tribe entered a forest, hid there, came back. There is no evidence at all, like the military, when they are coming from Somalia, they are usually taken to Baghdadi Road, where they undergo counseling. This police constable, who is a Turkana by tribe, confronted Al-Shabaab. The inspector, the driver, everybody in that Land Cruiser died. He's the only one who survived. What happened? Oh, umefika sijui pole pole sijui nini. Fanya hivi, jitayarishe unaenda guard room jioni. No counseling was done to that Turkana boy. To me, is a boy. To me, is a boy. He's a very young person. Then what happened? He somehow ended up in Lodwar. TV stations have shown him anafanya kazi ya mjengo. They even sent a police sergeant who is a reverend to go and counsel him. And it was seen on TV that the constable alipotoka kwa mjengo, and this sergeant who is a reverend, after counseling him, tried to do some drill on him. Hey, quick march, left, right, left, right. Askari ameiva. And you have just left him at that. He is suffering. Mtu ya mjengo, Lodwar. Of course, I can't complain Lodwar being hot because that is his home area. But he is in home area. Now, why send that reverend sergeant there to counsel him? You see, sasa when he saw the sergeant, rohoni mwake alifikiri labda kazi narudi. Why don't you do it like the military? Look at the time when the militaries are having their celebration. You'll find even a military officer on wheelchair with both the legs have been blown off. He's in uniform and he works and he paid. You are just paid until you reach your retirement age. The only disadvantage is you don't get any promotion. That is case number 2. Why don't you go to Lodwar, get that police officer, tell him that for the rest of his time until he's, because that is sickness. And you know, sickness is not that the blowing away of one hand or one leg or both or whatever. The internal injuries are worse than external. This is somebody who is supposed to be placed next to Lodwar District Hospital, where he would be getting psychological counseling every now and then. That is case number 3. Now, case number 1. It is about me. Me, and myself. It was obvious that I walked into a trap. You can even check my orderly room proceeding that time. Imagine, on one hand, I'm being charged that being on duty while drunk. And they said whatever happened was supposed to have happened in the police canteen. But I'm told that I reported on duty while drunk. And then again, they charged me, the records are there, that I failed to attend duty. Now, how can you fail to attend duty while you report on duty while drunk and disorderly? You are drunk and disorderly at your place of work, and you again said that you failed to attend duty. Now, if you went to your place of duty and became disorderly, then you did fail to go to a place of duty. Or if you fail to go to your place of duty and you're drunk wherever you are, how did they know that you're drunk? Because you know you are not at your place of duty. So what I did during the proceeding, the disciplinary proceedings, I I showed the contradiction. I said the first charge is contradicting this one. Now, which one would you take and whatever? And then they remained with the now with the now removed charge of number 41. I have been to the TGRC. I have been to the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. The Assistant Minister for Constitutional Affairs said one thing. He said he wrote a letter to the Commissioner of Police. And the funny thing, if I can call it funny, because no pain is funny, the letter was at the bottom, it was written NOO, meaning not on the original order. Meaning that when he wrote Njeru Gadhangu, when he was the assistant, he was authorized by Governor Keraito Murungi to investigate the case. And they investigated. And after investigating, the view of the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs was that injustice was done to me. Injustice was done to me. And the Commissioner of Police was requested to review my case with a view of reinstating me. Now you see, I was given an NOO letter, meaning not on the original order. It means that the Commissioner of Police, both Nyaseda and Major General, were not aware, had no idea that I have a copy of that letter. And the letter, I'm reliably informed, it was given to an SSP then called Charles Wasike to deal with it. It was never dealt with. Now, National Police Service Commission. There is something in law that we call, first of all, I've not even talked about my appeal and whatever, because my appeal was the person who sacked me, formation commander, acted in ultra vires. First of all, justice was not seen to be done. And the person who sacked me had no powers to sack somebody of my rank. So the police commissioner was supposed to call a board meeting and review my case. It was never called, that board meeting. Now the powers are with the National Police Service Commission. If I were to tell the truth, the National Police Service, at their own initiative, they are supposed to sit down and say that these two cases, because the case number 2, they were reinstated immediately. But I'm talking about this Turkana boy and me. In these two cases, they are supposed to, on their own, call a meeting on their own and review that thing. And then when they review, they are supposed to even have medical reports. For example, the Turkana boy is supposed to undergo psychological tests. Is he psychologically ready, or even physically ready for the physical work that is there when he's no longer in service? If he's not, then the doctor can write his recommendation. On my case, it is a very simple case. That the National Police Service can sit down and deliberate and decide. There is no two way about it. You see, there are some cases you can't go left or right. It is just a very simple thing that they require to sit down and say, injustice was done, and take the letter that my formation commander, not even the Commissioner of Police himself, I'm trying to remember who was the commissioner of police at the time I left the work. But whoever the commissioner of police was at that time, the way the first standing order stood at that time was that William Kivuvani was supposed to recommend me to the then commissioner of police for my sacking. And then the commissioner of police would have sacked me with respecting my rank, saying that if I was not happy, I would appeal to the Public Service Commission. I was sacked by somebody who is supposed to sack corporals and sergeants, and I was told that my review would be taken to the police headquarters. My father, the late Japheth JI-TENGE, once visited Mr. Washira, who was then the commissioner of police, and he wanted to know how my case has reached. And Mr. Washira told him, I'm sure Mr. Washira is still alive today. Mr. Washira told my father that the Nyati house has not forwarded the file. Now, as an intelligence officer, I've done my own research. I've gone left, right, and center. I've talked to various people. And I can tell you that we have an incident where people exchange prisoners of war. For example, Israel and Hamas. Or if I can give an example, recently there was an exchange of prisoners between Russia and other countries and Western countries. The process is, if you are an American and you have been jailed for 25 years in a Russian prison, when there is an exchange of prisoners, you are supposed to complete the other. If you have completed, let's say, 20 years and remaining a few years, you are supposed to spend the few years in the American prison, in your home area prison, and vice versa. But my experience, and my investigation is that 20 years in an enemy prison of war prison is not as painful as 2 weeks in your home area prison. Madam Dorcas, you know me, National Police Service, kindly sit down, review in my absence. And if need be, I'm ready to go and talk to you. It is just a very simple thing. Just conclude that it was mistrial and it is null and void. And write a letter to the chief, to the attorney general saying, what can happen for somebody who is supposed to have been reinstated, but he's over age? Haki iwe ngao na mlinzi. Justice be our shield and defender.